I did. I voted for Trump, and I agree with a lot. I don't agree with everything. I think he tweets a lot, but
him or her? I mean, him or him? Bush or Trump?
Trump.
If they ran, I don't know if it can't happen, but.
Well, if they ran against each other, I'd vote for Bush. If they, but that's not the case, and I'm eager to see what's going to happen with Trump at the end. As we go along, it's too hard to say how is this going to affect us in the end. Like with Ronald Reagan, he turned out to be one of the best presidents we've ever had, but that was hard to see at the time.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
One of the things that I guess is important to me is being able to run an efficient court, and especially now with the disruptions they have downtown with the courthouse and all that. So what can you tell me about how or why you'd be able to be efficient in being able to run a court efficiently? Okay. And give people a fair trial.
And give people a fair trial. Everybody deserves a fair day in court. I believe in dismissing frivolous lawsuits. Well, that's one of them. It's dismissing frivolous lawsuits. I used TRL came out with a piece of legislation called the Texas Citizens Protection Act. It's called the anti-SLAPP, you might know it as. And that is very key to dismissing frivolous lawsuits, and I've used it 3 times to get rid of them. It is a great piece of conservative legislation that I just obviously love because I keep winning on it. So I would dismiss frivolous lawsuits and hold lawyers accountable. A lot of the cases that we get caught up in discovery, like how do these cases go on for 10 years that you read about in the paper? That's, lawyers use these tactics to drag on cases through the discovery process. Well, yeah, we got to make money. But, holding the lawyers accountable for running their cases and keeping them timely. Like I told you, my husband runs a business, so I know about time and money, and that's how I see it, is that it is a business. It is partly business of administering justice.
I'm curious about your thoughts on sentencing. It seems like the public wants harsher and harsher sentences, which means more years. And I'm wondering, do you think this is is more years protective of society? Is that the philosophy of sentencing right now? Or is it punishment? Like it'll teach them not to do something? I mean, what is the goal of sentencing now in the criminal court system?
In the criminal court system? Well, I wouldn't do sentences because this is a civil court that I'm running from.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I don't practice criminal law. I never have, so I really can't speak to that. I wouldn't want to speak out of turn on something like that. So I'm sorry, I don't really know anything about criminal law.
Excuse you.
Is there anything else?
Could you tell me just briefly a little more? I like the idea about dismissing frivolous lawsuits. How do you determine whether one's frivolous? I think some are quite obvious, but what's some legal aspect of how to determine being able to dismiss it outright?
You, using the anti-SLAPP is that you make them provide their evidence up front. You're not ruling on whether it's admissible or not. You're not ruling on whether it's good evidence or not. But you ask them, when you have a case, you have certain elements that you have to meet, right? Like negligence, causation, proximate cause, and those things. You ask them, where's your evidence? What do you have? Even viewing it most favorably to that person, what do you have that shows that you actually have a decent case? If they can't come up with anything, even looking at it most favorable to them, then it gets dismissed.
In the process of the civil law, to avert trials, the role of mediation. Could you explain that a little bit?
I think mediation is a great tool to avoid trials, and you can order parties to go to mediation and have them work out their differences. And that's a good way to make these lawyers order mediation, make these lawyers get together. And if they can't come to an agreement on all the issues, certainly they can come to agreement on some of them. And then that would shorten trials and things. Speed up the process, right?
This is a philosophical question because I know it's not up to you, but what do you think of Justice Roberts' ruling on Obamacare?
On Obamacare? I don't agree with hardly anything that Obama passed. So,
but the way that Roberts went about allowing it because he called it a tax.
A tax? I think we would have to wait to see how that would result. What long-term effect that would have. Because as we can see, it's not working the way it is. So I would wait to see kind of the long-term effects of that.
Okay, I guess I'm waiting to see if it's the same as agreeing or disagreeing with how he went about it. So would you go along with Scalia and Roberts, or Scalia and Alito that dissented?
No, Scalia and Alito dissented, is that what you're, okay. So, you know, I can't speak.
You're not familiar?
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with it, and I can't speak to issues that might be before my court. So, you know, I kind of have to avoid giving those kinds of opinions that matters that might appear before my court. And I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm not familiar. I haven't read his opinion or the dissents.
Really?
I read the views about it, the headlines, but I haven't read the actual opinion.
Yes, do you believe in your analogy to the frivolous lawsuits, the pro se is shorter than fall into that category?
No, not just because you're pro se doesn't mean it's a frivolous lawsuit. I know, actually, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the case where a pro se teacher out of Katy filed his appeal with the appeals court pro se and won, beat one of the top firms in our county. And he was a teacher from the Katy district, I believe. So just because it's pro se doesn't necessarily mean it's frivolous.
Any other questions? All right, so the election is May 22nd, I believe?
Yes.
The early voting, is it 2 weeks early voting?
No, it's just 4 days.
4 days.
5 days?
May 14th through the 18th.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. I knew
Right,
we'd have
so it's
somebody
right
here
before.
that knew.
Yeah,
And
so
who's
it's
the
just right
opponent?
before then.
Oh, we don't mention names like that. Her opponent is coming at a later date.
Okay.
So my website is www.fragaforjudge.com. I've got some materials up here that I can leave with you, and that's got more information about myself, my campaign, and my endorsements. And again, I appreciate your time.
One other question.
Yes.
Where to vote for this primary runoff? Did you have to vote in the primary?
No, you didn't have to vote the first time at all.
Because I didn't know that answer.
Right,
That's a key point.
It is. Now, obviously, you couldn't have voted in the Democrat primary, but I don't think that's a
So
problem for anyone.
anybody could go and vote for this thing.
Yes, if you didn't vote the first time,
Yeah,
that's okay.
Somebody told me the difference, it wasn't so.
No,
Because I
and I've
wanna make
researched
sure.
it. No, I've researched
As
it.
close as this race is gonna be, anybody can vote in this race.
Yes, even if you
As
did
long as
not.
you're a registered voter.
Right, as long as you're a registered voter, even if you did not vote the first time, you can vote in this
But
primary.
if you voted in the Democratic primary,
You
then-
cannot. Yeah,
then
you can't
cannot.
cross party lines.
Right.
You have to have been a registered Republican.
You have to be registered. You have to be a registered voter.
Right.
Okay, you did that. Okay, that's what I want to
Yeah.
make clear.
So yeah, if you didn't vote for me the first time, I'd appreciate it if you voted the second time.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
One thing I neglected to do, and Stuart's here, and I always try to recognize other candidates that are in the running or they are surrogates. Stuart, if you wouldn't mind, just say who you're representing.
I'm representing Jeff Williams. He's the incumbent JP judge up on Clay Road, position 5, place 2. I don't know if you know about this court. It's down there. That building was flooded when a hurricane and had sewer water up to here. And so what they have done now, they're in a temporary facility north of Clay Road on Highway 6 in a former pizza place. It's a quarter of the size. And so not many people voted. 35,000, 36,000 voted. About half of that is going to vote in this runoff on May 22nd. The important thing is to know, he's a 36-year lawyer, and he's going for his 3rd time there.
Hey, Stuart, you can't make campaign speech. You just talk about who you talk about. Now, I will say that Jeff is committed to coming to our next meeting, so he will be here. And I haven't heard squat from his opponent, so I'll say that too.
I'm sorry?
I haven't heard anything from his opponent,
Nobody has.
even though I know him. He
He
won't
disappeared, I think.
pretty much. So I will say that. So with that, I want to introduce to you Lauren Spivak. And ever since Lauren Storr, a free market warrior, was expelled from Concord Mills Mall in North Carolina for selling materials critical of the Obama administration in 2009, the mall owners are Simon Property Group. They're major Democratic donors. Spivak's devoted himself to writing entertaining, educational, political parodies, teaching people the truth about free market economics and how it can save this country. Lauren's also appeared as a guest on a number of television, radio programs, including Glenn Beck, CNN. You went to CNN, talked to them?
I think so.
And NBC News, America's Newsroom, National Conservative Radio, Pal Talk News, and We the People Radio. He's spoken to hundreds of conservative, Republican, Libertarian, Tea Party groups across the United States. So if you would, this is Lauren Spiffy. And thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it very much.
So I was like, well, thank you guys for having me. I go by the nickname, the Free Market Warrior.